Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Imtiaz Hassan from Jamia Millia Islamia. Today we are going to talk on paper 10 biophysics, in which we will discuss about the module 30 named as atomic absorption spectroscopy and flame photometry. In this module we are going to discuss in detail about the principle of atomic absorption spectroscopy. Then we talk about the method for atomization in the atomic absorption spectroscopy. Then it will give you some highlights of the flame photometry and its application. And then we talk about the advantages and disadvantages of the flame photometry, followed by overall summary of this module. So guys, let's talk about the atomic absorption spectroscopy. In molecular spectroscopy, low energy radiation such as IR, visible and UV causes molecule to vibrate, rotate or outer electron to transit from low to high energy states. In atomic spectroscopy, higher energy radiation is used to transit inner electrons from its low to high energy states, and high energy radiation is provided by flame in flame atomic absorption spectroscopy named as FAA, electrothermal furnace in the flameless graphite furnace atomic absorption spectroscopy named as GFAA, and plasma in inductively coupled plasma optical emission spectroscopy known as ICP-OES, and the last one is the X-ray in the X-ray fluorescence spectrophotometry or spectroscopy. Let's talk about the invention of this technique. It was first time introduced in 1995 by Alan Walsh in Australia. He used this technique for the mining, medical and agriculture treatment. The most widely used method in the technique and method is the analysis of the elements based on the absorption and radiation. It is a highly sensitive technique in parts per billion and used for the quantitative analysis of the substance. Now we discuss about the types of atomic absorption spectroscopy. The light of first is the absorption light of wavelength characteristic of the element of interest radiates through the atom vapor. The atoms absorb some of the light and the amount absorbed is measured. The second is the emission spectroscopy, in which the sample is heated to excitation ionization of the sample atoms, and excited and ionized atom decay to lower energy state through the emission, and intensity of the light emitted is measured. The third one is the fluorescence. It is a short wavelength. In a short wavelength is absorbed by the sample atoms, and a longer wavelength radiation characteristic of the element is emitted and measured. Now we talk about the atomic absorption spectroscopy. In analytical chemistry, atomic absorption spectroscopy is technique used to determine the concentration of a particular metal or element in a sample. Atomic absorption spectroscopy can be used to analyze the concentration of over 62 different metals in solution. The technique typically makes use of flame to atomize the sample, but the other atomizers such as graphite furnace are also used. There are three steps involved in this process, which turning liquid sample into the atomic gas. The first is the desolvation, in which the liquid solvent is evaporated and the dry sample remains. The second is the vaporization, in which the solid sample vaporizes to the gas. And the third step is the volatilization, in which the compounds making up the sample are broken into their free corresponding atoms. We talk here about the atomic absorption spectroscopy. You can see here the model of the atomic absorption spectroscopy and the working principle, how it works actually. So it is commonly used for the element analysis and expose the sample to flame or high temperature, and the characteristic of flame impact used for the atomic absorption spectroscopy, in which the incident light absorbed by the elements and then the amount of absorbed light is detected by the detector. Flame atomic absorption spectroscopy is the simplest automation for the gas solution or the liquid, in which the laminar flow through the burner, a stable sheet of the flame, and flame automation best for the reproducibility, precision less than 1%. It is a relatively insensitive technique and incomplete volatilization, short time in the flame. Here we try to show you the working principle of the atomic absorption spectroscopy. You can see electron promote to high orbital for a short amount of time by absorbing the energy, and m plus h nu equals to m excited, which follows the Beer-Lambert law, that is A equals to ABC. You can see here the radiation light source, and in the other side the sample are atomized through the flame, and then the incident light falls on the detector, through which you can detect the amount of light absorbed in the atomic absorption spectroscopy. Now we discuss about the component of atomic absorption spectroscopy. The first component is the light source. The light that is focused into the flame is produced by a hollow cathode lamp. Inside the lamp there is a cylindrical metal cathode containing the metal for excitation and the anode. When a high voltage is applied across the anode and cathode, the metal atoms in the cathode are excited into producing light with a certain emission spectrum. The type of hollow cathode tube depends on the metal being analyzed. For analyzing the concentration of copper in an ore, a copper cathode tube would be used, and likewise for any metal being analyzed. The electrons of the atoms in the flame can be promoted to higher orbital for instant by absorbing a set of quantity of energy, that is the quantum. You can see here the structure of light source. We discuss about the other component of the atomic absorption spectroscopy, that is the monochromator. It also called as wavelength selector, which select the specific wavelength and for polychromatic light converted into the monochromatic light by the monochromator, and simple one monochromator is enough for the atomic absorption spectroscopy. The third component is the detector. You can see here the structure of the detector. It actually converts the electromagnetic waves into the electric current, and most commonly used are the photomultiplier tube, which have fast response time. Now we talk about the process of atomization. Atomization is actually the compounds making up the sample are broken into the free atoms by using high temperature, and it involves mainly two steps. The first step is the electrothermal atomizer. It is a cylindrical graphite tube, insert gas medium such as argon gas, and longer analysis time than the flame, and it is the superior sensitivity with the high accuracy. The second one is the flame atomizer, in which is the simplest atomizer, which converts analyte into the free atoms of the vapor phase. Flammable and causative gases not has an inert medium, and short analysis time is done. Now we discuss about the how the things atomize. So here first the types of atomizer used in the atomic spectroscopy. One is the flame, second is the electrothermal vaporization, third is the inductively coupled argon plasma, fourth is the direct current argon plasma, fifth is the microwave induced argon plasma, sixth is the glow discharge plasma, then electric arc and electric spark. These are the different types of atomizer used in the atomic absorption spectroscopy. Now we talk about the methods for the sample introduction in the atomic absorption spectroscopy. There are several methods such as the pneumatic nebulizer, in which the solutions or slurry can be used, ultrasonic nebulizer used for the solution, electrothermal vaporization for the solid, liquid or solution, hydride generation for the solution, direct insertion of solid powder, laser ablation solid metal, spark and arc ablation for the conducting solid, and the glow discharge sputtering for the conducting solid. Now we discuss some sample atomization method. There are several sample atomization method which includes nebulization, in which solution sample gets into fine droplets by spraying through thin nozzle or passing over the vibrating crystal. Desolvation, in which the heat droplets to evaporate of solvent just leaving analyte and other matrix compounds. Volatilization, which converts solid analyte matrix particle into gas phase. Dissociation, which breaks molecules in gas phase into the atoms. Ionization, which cause the atoms to become charged, and excitation with light, heat, etc. for the spectral measurements. Now we discuss some types of the nebulizer and atomizer. You can see here there are 4 different types of the nebulizer, in which you can see that the high pressure gas flows and to the right angle to the sample of the solution, and the other in which the high pressure gas flows sample to the solution in the other way around. Now we talk about the flame aspiration and electrothermal atomization. In flame aspiration, typical burner and spray chamber has been used, which is shown here in the figure, in which the ethylene dinitrogen oxide 2600 to 2800 degrees Celsius or ethylene air giving a flame with a temperature of 2200 to 2400 degrees Celsius are often used. In the electrothermal atomization, automated micropipette and sample changer place 25 microliter of sample into the platform through the sample hole with the pre-programmed series of steps, and current passes and heat the tube to provide the particular temperature. Here we talk about the background absorption. Background absorption is the absorption by the other atoms or the molecules except the elements that are being determined. It happens that some of the atoms present in the solution can absorb and scatter some radiation from the light source that made the unvaporized solvent droplets or matrix complex. Due to the accompanied chemical species such as anion, there is always background absorption as well as the target sample. The amount of energy is specific to particular electron transition in a particular element. As the quantity of energy put into the flame is known, the quantity remaining at the other side that can be measured. It is possible to calculate how many of these transitions took place and thus get a signal that is proportional to the concentration of element being used. Now we discuss about the calibration method. The unknown concentration of an element can be determined by using calibration curve. For example, determination of concentration of lead in a solution. There are 2 ways of the calibration curve. One is the calibration curve method and second is the standard addition method. In calibration curve method, the amount of absorbed radiation is plotted against the concentration of element in the solution, while in the standard addition method, the unknown concentration of element in the sample is fed to the instrument and through the calibration curve concentration can be calculated. Now we talk about the electrothermal atomic absorption spectroscopy, in which the sample is continued in a heated graphite furnace. The furnace is heated by passing an electrical current through it and thus the electrothermal is named. To prevent the oxidation of the furnace, it is sheathed in a gas. Argon are generally used. There is no nebulization etc. takes place. The sample is introduced as a drop, usually 5 to 20 microliter slurry or solid particle. The furnace goes through the several steps. Drying that usually just above the 110 degrees Celsius occurs, and ashing occurs at to the 1000 degrees Celsius. Atomization takes place up to 2000 to 3000 degrees Celsius, and clean out for the quick ramp up to 35 degrees Celsius. So waste is blown out and a blast of the argon. The light from the source is HCl passes through the furnace and absorption during the atomization step is recorded over several seconds. This makes ET, electrothermal atomic absorption spectroscopy, more sensitive than the flame atomic absorption spectroscopy for most of the elements. Electrothermal atomic absorption spectroscopy, in which the furnace goes through the several steps. Now we talk about the flame photometry. In flame photometry, samples are introduced to the flame to obtain neutral atoms. The emission of the radiation by neutral atom is actually measured, and this is a process in which radiation is emitted. Flame photometry is process where the emission of radiation by neutral atoms are measured. The neutral atoms are obtained by introduction of sample into the flame, and hence it is named as the flame photometry. Since radiation is emitted, is also called as flame emission spectroscopy. Now we discuss about the types of flame and flame structure. So to selection of correct flame region is important for the optimal performance. The primary combustion zone, in which the blue inner core, blue due to the emission of C2, CH and the other radicals, not in thermal equilibrium and not used. The second one is the interconal region, in which the regions of the highest temperature, that is rich in free atoms and often used in spectroscopy, that can be narrower in some flame like the hydrocarbon and talls in the others such as acetylene. The third zone is the outer zone. It is the cooler region which is rich in oxygen due to the surrounding of the air. It gives the metal oxide formation. So now we talk about the working principle. Due to the heat in the flame, when the fine droplets of a solution of metallic salt are placed into the flame, the fine residues of the salt will be formed and leaving the droplets dry. Again, neutral atom form these fine residue, and the atom goes to the higher energy level and return back to the ground state due to the thermal energy of the flame. The method seems to be very simple and applicable to all elements, but in reality only the elements from the group 1A and group 2A like lithium, sodium, potassium and calcium, magnesium can only be analyzed. Here we discuss the basic instrumentation design of the flame spectrophotometry, and you can see here there are two types of the flame spectrophotometry. One is the single beam, in which the modulated power source and passes through the flame where the sample elements are present, then it directly light is collected on the monochromator, and by monochromator it is reached to the amplifier and then detector. So this is the structural component of the single beam flame absorption spectroscopy. In the case of double beam spectrophotometry, the two beams are used, and you can see here in the structure that the two different beams are used, two different light source are used, and in the same way the detector used to detect the amount of light absorbed by the atoms present in the solution or in the flame. Now we discuss about the flame photometer instrumentation. It has mainly four components. One is the burner, second is the monochromator, third is the detector, and fourth is the recorder and the display. So the monochromator and filters are used to filter the specific wavelength from the light of the flame. The particular filter will be used for a particular element, so it can filter all other wavelength. Detector of the flame photometric is the same used in the spectrophotometry. The emitted radiation is invisible region from 400 to 700 nanometer, and sample detector are sufficient for phototubes, photovoltaic cells, and for each element's radiation through the specific. It should be specific. We discuss about the fuels and oxidant combinations which are commonly used in the flame photometry. There are many fuel sources such as propane, in which the oxidant is air, and it gives the temperature of 2100 degrees Celsius. Then propane with the oxygen gives the temperature of 2800 degrees Celsius. Hydrogen in the air gives the 1900 degrees Celsius. However, the hydrogen in the oxygen gives 2800 degrees Celsius. Similarly, acetylene in the air gives a temperature of 2200 degrees Celsius, but in the presence of oxygen it gives the 3000 degree Celsius. We discuss about the interference in atomic absorption spectroscopy and atomic flame spectroscopy. So there are different types of spectral interferences like overlapping, broadening absorption of the air or fuel mixture, and scattering or absorption by the sample matrix. You can see here the absorption and emission interference of the calcium hydroxide. Now we know that how the correction of the spectral interference due to the matrix. So the molecular species may be present in the flame. Problem if the absorption spectra overlap, since the molecular spectrum is much broader with the greater net absorbance and needs way of subtracting these factor out. We discuss about the common interferences in the atomic absorption spectroscopy and absorption flame spectroscopy. So the chemical interference occurs because of the formation of compound of low volatility, calcium analysis in the presence of sulfate or the phosphate. For example, here you can see the formation of oxide and hydroxide of the metal, where M. So the solution is simply that using high temperature releasing agents cation that reacts preferably with the interference ion, and the protection agents from the stable but volatile species with the analyzed, such as use of EDTA and APDC. It can be avoided by increasing temperature or uses less number of oxidants. We discuss about the applications of the atomic flame spectroscopy. It is used for the comparison of a spectrum emission wavelength with that of the standard of the quantitative analysis of the sample. It is used for the water analysis, that's the presence of calcium, magnesium, iron, silicon, aluminum and barium in the water. This technique is also used for the food analysis of animal feed stuff to see the manganese, iron, copper, chromium, selenium and zinc content. It is also used for the analysis of soil, clinical samples such as blood, whole blood, plasma, and detection of different metals such as calcium, magnesium, lithium, sodium, potassium and iron. We talk about how the atomic absorption spectroscopy used for the metal analysis. You can see here in atomic cell the metals are heated or atomized by the high energy flame, and liquid is aspirated to become aerosol and fine particle. That's process is known as nebulization. Flame vaporizes the aerosol, that's known as atomization, and elevated temperature in the flame or furnace changes in the chemistry of the atoms, and temperature affect the ratio of excited and unexcited atoms. Simply follows the Beer-Lambert law, so it can be used to calculate the concentration of the different substance present. Now we talk about some limitations of the flame photometry. Flame photometry finds little use in research and analysis, unlike the other spectroscopy methods. This is due to the limited number of elements that can be analyzed. The sample requires to be introduced as a solution into the fine droplets. Many metallic salts, soil, plant and other compounds are insoluble in common solvent. Hence, they cannot be analyzed by this method. Since sample is volatilized, if a small amount of sample is present, it is tough to analyze by this method, as some of gets wasted by vaporization. Further, during solubilization with the solvent, other impurities might mix up with the sample and may lead to error in the spectra observed. So guys, now we discuss some advantages and disadvantages of the flame photometry. A flame photometry is easy and not time consuming to use, and it does not cost a lot of money. However, an increased use of spectrometer is needed with the flame photometry use. The advantage of flame test is because they are fast, easy and inexpensive. However, the disadvantage that the results are observance based can only vary depending on the scientist. So guys, let's summarize what we have learned so far. Atomic absorption spectroscopy is one of the most important technique in quantitative analysis. Atomic spectroscopy can be divided into absorption, luminescence and emission spectroscopy. Measurements could be done at parts per billion level, and the preparation of sample is usually simple and rapid. Its widely used method for flame photometry is a process in which the emission of radiation by neutral atom is measured. The neutral atom is obtained by introducing the sample into flame. That's what it is known as flame photometry. There are many advantages such as high sensitivity, in that's 10 to the power minus 10 gram in the flame and 10 to the power minus 14 gram in the non-flame, and good accuracy like the relative error are 0.1 to 0.5% and high selectivity. These are the advantages associated with the flame photometry. So I hope you understand well. Thank you.